Hello there, reason people, PoohBear here, and welcome to my channel. This is the second part to the Generative project using Chordline. It was meant to be one complete video and I split it, and I realised, well, really, that first video was like how I set up my layers, and I've done videos in the past, so I did make a comment in the description. I just wanted to touch on that before we proceed, and that comment is along the lines of sometimes when you have a solo instrument, so let me just turn Chordline off, so I'm now going to use this as purely play it. So if I was to say solo the sword, you know, you might come up with something and in that context you might go, oh yeah, that sounds all right, or you might actually do something and go, oh, that doesn't sound right. But actually in the context of when you've got a bass and you've got some pads and you've got some other twinkles going on, it may work. So rather than saying, oh yeah, this sounds good, now let me lay down my bass and let me do some pads and let's do something else and waste time. Well, with this, obviously I can turn this off and I can experiment straight away. So let's do the same similar sort of thing I was doing. You know, so it's just another way of working. Yes, I do use solo instruments. My preferred layer, to be honest, is a piano with a very subtle string underneath it. That's what I love playing around with. But anyway, let's get on with this video. This is what it's about. It's the generative side. This is where I left my project last time. Well, it wasn't quite where I left it. I've actually done a couple of little things. I was talking about putting some noise in. I did add some noise into the background, like some wind sounds. It didn't work. But hey, that's what it's about. And the only other subtle thing I've really done is I created a parallel channel for the widener. I wasn't quite happy with the way I was having that going through the send. I have a lot more control, I think, when I have a parallel channel. Plus, I also turned on, obviously, the low pass, so I could actually take a little bit of that deep end out when it was going through the widener as well. So that's the only subtle difference. Everything else should be the same. As I said, I was just playing around with that little bit of wind noise. So let me just turn Chordline back on again, because that's the whole point of this video. And I'm going to do the generative two different ways. Let's do it two different ways. One, I'm going to use a lot of free stuff and we're going to build it that way, and I'm going to build it another way using a delta, because it's been a while since I've actually done something with delta. The first route I'm going to go down to is using a delta. A lot of the time when I use a delta, or I'm using players which I'm not using to control, say, an instrument, I'll sit on top of something like a mod panel, that's a Hammond, partly because it's already got note and gate data obviously built into that panel as well, and it's also got poly built into it and all sorts of other things. But just for... no, today I'm going to do something slightly different. I'm going to actually go into utilities. I'm going to hold down my shift key. I'm going to build myself a combinator, and I'm going to grab this combinator and I'm going to put it here in the middle, because then we can zoom in and see what's going on, he says. So first things first, let's go and quickly grab a delta. So there's delta. I'm going to sit that right on top. I'm going to unplug it. So if we just bring this across just a little bit more, just so we've got the chord line in effect. So what we need to do is obviously randomize the white keys, and we also need to randomize the black keys. Well, in delta it's quite straightforward. I can obviously come here and do a transpose. So I'm just going to grab that. Oh, first thing I'm going to do is just change my grid lines on delta. So let's double click on this. I'm going to turn this up so this is 0. Obviously you could set it so you're going across multiple octaves if you wish to. And then the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to transpose, and then I need to quantize that note. So there we go, let's grab that note. Happens to be already set up the way I want it to. So I'm just going to push that to the output. And also at the moment, the way this is going to work is I'm going to press a key on the keyboard and I'm going to start my generative piece up. And then when I want to stop it, I'm going to be hitting this key at the top here which says stop all. So I only have to push one note on my keyboard and I don't have to touch my keyboard again. Now at the moment, I've got to be quite specific about which note I touch on my keyboard for this to work properly, really. So what I'm going to do also at the very start is I'm going to actually say, well, if I add myself a set note, which happens to be C3, it now doesn't matter which key I press on my keyboard, it's always going to work. And I'm just going to push that to there. Now before I wire these two together, I'm just going to hold down my control key and click on each of them because I'm lazy like that. If I hadn't, if I'd wired these up together and then I duplicated them, this one would have been wired up to that and this would have been wired up to that. So you have cross wirings as well going on. Now in this particular Quantize, I'm not interested in the white keys. So let's turn them all off. He says, oh, I missed one. There we go, bosh. And let's turn on the black keys. Cool. So theoretically, I should be able to hit, well, I need to obviously link this stack with this stack, but theoretically, when I'm hitting any note on my keyboard at the moment, it's going to randomly transpose it and it's going to choose a particular chord in this case, and then obviously this one here is going to choose a chord set. Well, as I say, I could, let's quickly grab that now as I'm here. Let's grab my MIDI CV converter. And I'm going to hold down my control key to make a copy of that because I'm quite lazy. Whiz round to the back, gate to gate, note to note. Grab this, sit it on top of that. Over here. Oh, well, I've already got a spare one. Sit that over here. And what I'm going to do, that should work actually. Let's just quickly whiz round. So if I hit a key, you're always going to do is going to be a very quick stab. But we can see the result. So it's choosing that one there, and I lost where it chose down here because obviously the light's not lit up anymore. There. Hard to see, but yeah, you can sort of see it. So it's working, it's choosing it, but it's not correct. So what I want it to do is I want it to, and now my bass loop happens to be 4 bars long. So, and I've decided for the moment, I'm just going to pull out 4 chords, randomly pull out 4 chords. And then at the end of my 16th bar, I'm going to want to select or randomly choose a different chord set. It might choose the same chord set. And then I'm going to play another 4 or 16 bars, i.e. 4 different chords, 4 bars each, and then I'm randomly going to choose another chord set. So that's what I need to set Delta up to do next. And there's actually another step as well. So before I forget that other step, I'm just going to go and quickly grab that now, and that's called Auto Latch. So at the moment, and what I should do, just for your reference, I'm going to pull this denote in, and I put it there. Then you can see actually what's being generated, just for your reference. So the reason I'm going to put in auto latch, because at the moment, as soon as I hit a key and I let go, well, the chord is going to stab and stop. It's going to play now for a quarter note because I've got auto latch here. So I'm just going to grab auto latch down to 1, and I want that to go on to 4 bars. Tick. But obviously it now stops. So what we've got to do up here is obviously build ourselves a nice little loop. And what we're going to do is build ourselves just a little bit of a feedback loop. And I'm going to need a delay. There we go, let's grab a delay in. And I'm also going to need, there we go, a CV merge splitter. So I'm just going to quickly set up my delay. I do not want the dry, so I don't want to hear the signal coming in. I only want to count off 1. And I want this on 4 bars. I'm then going to wire that up to there and that up to there. Do I want to do that? Oh, probably not. No. And I was going to say I'm going to duplicate it, but it's going to duplicate it and put the wires up there, isn't it? Oh, that's no problem. And then I'm going to do the same with that. I'm going to duplicate that. It looks a real mess here in the middle. So if I now hold down my Alt key, I can just come along with this little line, get rid of all them. And this delay here, I'm going to set to 16 bars. So the next thing I've just got to do is take my input, put it into that delay, take a feed from that input, put it into that delay, feed out of the delay and put that into the transpose, and feed out of this delay and put it into that transpose. So when I hit a key, Can I double click on that? Get rid of that bit. There. So when I hit a key, it's going to come in, it's going to set the note, so it doesn't matter what key I hit. It's then going to push that note straight out into these randomization process. So it's going to randomize and choose a chord set and a chord. This loop is going to go kicking in, and it's going to kick in straight away, but it's not going to do anything on the first pass because it's got no dry set to it. So it is going to wait 4 bars, and then it's going to spit a note out, and then it's going to wait 4 bars, and it's going to spit a note out. It's going to wait 4 bars, and it's going to spit a note out, and that's just going to continuously do that. And then down here, it's going to do something very similar, but it's every 16 bars it's going to spit something out. But when it spits something out, it spits it out to there, and it spits it back to itself, so it then re-triggers itself, waits 16 bars, spits something out. So that's what's really happening with this little loop we're doing. And that will be it, going on for forever, and that should now work as a basic generative piece. I could say, hey look, here we go, we've actually created ourselves a generative piece. So I am going to hit play, but I'm just going to quieten it down a little bit. And as I say, you should see that, that's the second one. Now to go for a new chord set. It's chosen now. I don't know what chord set was about. I didn't actually know which one it was before. But it's working, and now this can go off. Now, there's nothing actually stopping me totally changing this. Was it the 7th, I think, last time? So we've now got something totally different. On the next play, it's going to pick up that new chord. So this is where obviously I can go in, we can put our own chord progressions in and things, or even mix things up. So to stop it, as I say, we've just got to click the stop all. I could click the stop all down here. After I click that stop all, if I want it to stop more instantly, because obviously I've stopped it here, that's stopped its process, and then what's happening is this is now kicking in, well, this is finishing off doing its 4 bars. So that's kind of, I could say that's kind of finished, but obviously I'm not going to end it there, am I? That's just a bit too simple. Now, at the moment, I was thinking about having to play around with the drums, and I was thinking, hey, I might have one of these drum sets set so it only changes its pattern when we change the chord set, and obviously the other one keeps changing every time we change the chord. One of the things I noticed, let's have a zoom straight in, yeah, I've got my amp turned up quite high, and I should be down to about 25%. So at 25%, this should give it a swing from about there to there. So it'll always be, so both drum kits should always be heard. Just bring that down a little bit more. And yeah, and I think that's what I want to do. I'm going to pull this, yeah, I might as well pull that one out of this particular stack, and I'm actually going to drive it independently. Let's grab that and move this all the way over here. So yeah, let's move this under generative sort of stack, what we've got going on. So I'm going to control this, as I say, using the chord set timing. That's what I actually want to use. Now, I need to obviously output something from this so I can start triggering something down here, which is obviously then going to trigger the vice. Now there's 2 ways round this I could do. I could actually come up here and say, I could build this sort of thing up into here, which, hey, why don't we do that? So I'm actually going to, it'd probably be quicker actually, so I don't get loads of cross wires. is I'm going to grab myself a random transpose. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. And then I'm going to grab a quantize. So I'm going to randomly, so let's grab that from there again, and I'm going to hold down the control key and take that from the note as well. And really on this quantize, this is where we need to change things. So I might even just do that. So I might go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so here we go. I'm going to change what patterns we're going to actually play in. So that's cool. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually output that to CV. So I need a CV output. Put that down there. So I'm going to grab that up there and wire that up to there. So now we've got ourselves a CV output. So let's just whiz round to the back. And I can take this gated note, and there's nothing actually stopping me putting this gated note in straight into the vice actually. What I'm actually going to do as well is we do not need this delta, so let's just hide that delta until we get things working. Oh, I know why. I just had a thought. One of the things, as I said, there's two ways I can do this. I can obviously, this has got a latch function built into this drum machine, so I could use that latch function. Or I could, so I'm getting all confused with this Zoom program. Come down here, I can put this to a count of 1, yeah, that's what I want. And let's put this onto 16 bars. There we go. So that will play for 16 bars. The advantage of doing it using the latch function is I can easily build into it that when I actually stop playing altogether, that we can cut the drums off very, very quickly. Whereas if the drum pattern's just started and I press stop at the top, I'm going to have to wait 16 bars for this to shut up. That's the downside. But let's quickly do it this way to start with. But by doing it this way, I've now got to actually combine this up. Where's my combine? Do I hold the shift key down here? Yeah, let's just do it to make sure I don't get myself a mixed channel. And I need to send this into the combinator. If you don't send this into the combinator and down the stack, the auto latch won't play. The player stacks are bypassed when you go directly using gate and CV. Go gate CV into your combinator. They're now coming through the stack correctly when they hit the vice, or the vice in this particular case. But this is working the way I wanted it to. As I say, the only downside is at the moment that you hit your stop all. This is obviously going to stop quicker because it's every 4 bars, but the drums itself could go on for quite a while because it's obviously got its 16 bars. So we could do something, as I say, one of the ways around it, I like to get around it, is I use something called, what's it called? Dead Man Stand. Oh, One Note Stand by Dead Man Audio. It works really well. It's a utility. You whack it into, you can give it the focus of all the MIDI which is coming into it, and it'll produce a gate output basically. So it doesn't matter if I'm holding down 3 notes or 1 note or whatever, it produces a gate output. And then once all the notes have disappeared, obviously that gate can close off. But what I do is I match it up with a janitor so I can smooth that closeness off, so I can actually time it how long that gate comes off. So usually where I use it is definitely when I'm doing kind of chordy stuff. So it means I can play a chord, especially if I've got something like an arpeggiator going. I can take my hands off and I have it set up in such a way that it'll actually carry on playing and give me a few seconds to then change my hands to play another chord. And I can take it off and it gives me a few seconds again to try and choose something else. And if I then decide, no, I'm going to leave my hands totally off, it all comes to a total quietness. It just totally comes still. In fact, I'll tell you what, why don't we just very, very quickly do this? Don't just talk about it, let's actually do it. So let's put the word, oh, it's a utility. It's a utility, isn't it? I'm sure it's a utility. Is Dead Man. There we go, One Note Stand. So if I was to put that in this one here, this is where we got a lot of stuff going on. And what you have to do is go into show program, you have to click on it and you have to tell it to receive information. Cool, it's going to receive information. How is this going to affect this stack? Let me think about this. I think I can do this. Then what I'm going to do is grab myself a janitor. I think of actually saving this .favo. This is obviously one of my favorites. These are all the free devices you can get. I've just obviously got them all nice laid out, so I can obviously come in here and just grab things. Janitor, which is really what we're after, and the janitor has the ability with this decay, I can actually, this is where when the note goes off, I can actually give it timing before it totally kills off. So it gives me a pause, so I can obviously whack it right up to give me a long delay time before it dies off. So let me just quickly reach around to the back. I'm going to take the gate out into this. I'm then going to take the gate out and put it into this. That's going to get its CV data from up the top, which should be absolutely fine, he says. Should that work? Oh, well, he's going to say, yes, that should work. So as long as this has focus now, let's hit a key. I'm going to turn that off. This is stop playing, so let me just scroll back up. It probably needs to go round now, its whole 16 bars. So let's just hit stop. Let's try again. So it's definitely playing. We can see that playing there. Yeah, it's playing. Now, as I say, what should happen is when I hit stop now at the top, it's stopped in a more time. You know, that's stopping in a timely manner. Obviously, I can make that stop quicker by just putting this delay down here. So by pulling this down, this will stop a lot quicker, or I can push it up. And it's this kind of setup I use, I say, for like on my arpeggiators. I'll put the hold on, so I take a feed from this, which will obviously be controlling a combinator where I'll actually put the arpeggiator in to control holding their equivalent, the latches, they call it hold on the compulsion, it's called a hold. And that works really effectively, so I can hit stop and everything stops. That's ideally what we want. So this is actually a lot better already. So there we go, right, not bad. I've probably waffled enough for this particular setup. In fact, I'm going to split this video into yet another one, and I'm going to have a 2B. So yeah, so this is going to be 2A. I'm going to do a 2B where I'll just do CV with the free devices, and we'll build something up with that. But at the moment, this is working. This is. I'll play this out and let this play for a little bit. As I said, the beauty is, as you saw, I came in, and even when it is playing, I could actually just change the complete set of chords which we were playing from. So putting your own sort of chord sets in here and your own sort of progressions works well. As I say, there's nothing stopping me sort of ramping. As I say, this is 16 at the moment, so I could obviously ramp this chord set up to 28, because that's the nice thing about this delay. If I got it on delay, I've got 16 bars. 16 bars is the highest. Well, I could still do something with this, because if I wanted to go, 28 might be a bit of an awkward one off the top of my head. Let me just have a look. So we've got a 7-bar delay. What I'm thinking is that you could do this, and you could use some clock dividers to probably divide this down to get your 28. Yeah, so 7 times 4. So I could put that into a clock divider, and that would count down through the clock divider before it pumps out to change things. So yeah, we could do that, exactly what we need to do. But let's just leave this on 28. Let's just make sure solo's turned, the dim's turned off, and that's it really. Just leaves me to say, well, thank you for watching once again, and I'm out of control, so let's get back to full screen before I lose it all. Don't need that. So obviously these two devices are not needed at all now, because say the gate's been controlled by the one note stand, and it's still getting its CV signal from up here. You've got to remember, CV note, for those who are beginners, once I've hit a key on a keyboard and you're into the CV world, that note stays forever. It doesn't matter if I take my hand away, it doesn't matter if I unplug the keyboard, basically. That CV signal will stay at that particular value which we've set it to. It's the gate which will turn things on and off. So, thank you for watching. Bye for now.